So with the introduction of Chapter 4 Season 2, we have 4 brand new POIs on the map. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single one of them from my least favorite to my favorite. Now keep in mind that I love every single one of these new POIs, so even the ones near the bottom of the list, I still think are really cool. But there are just some of these that I like more than others. So at the bottom of the list with number 4, we have Naughty Nets. The main reason that this is the lowest is that it's really far off to the side of the map. It's extremely far away from everything else, and it's also just really small. There's not really too much to it, but I really do like how it's kind of on its own island. You got this river going through it, which makes it look really pretty when you kind of see the docks by the water. I think that's really cool. And just like all the rest of the POIs, the buildings look absolutely beautiful. You got these really nice red and yellow trees around the area, you got these beaches, so it is very nice, kind of tropical, kind of seaside area, and I really enjoy that a lot. I just wish there was a bit more going on here. Like, I wish the buildings were a bit more tied to this area. Maybe if we had some kind of like fishing store or something like that. Maybe like a big seafood restaurant. I feel like there could just be a bit more going on in this POI, which is why it is at the bottom of the list. So next up at number 3, we have Kenjutsu Crossing, which is really cool. It's like a giant monastery with kind of a small little town near it, which also makes it seem a lot larger than it would be normally. I absolutely love the design of the main monastery building. I think it looks fantastic. It's really fun to explore. I like kind of like the central garden area as well. I think that's really nice. It just looks overall very pretty. And also, I love how it's kind of built on top of like a small hill. The terrain is really cool. You got this like hill with the monastery, and then you got like these kind of jagged cliffs around the place with all this foliage. I think it just looks really nice in general. It's a fun place to land. It's a great way of making sure you get one of the brand new katanas, which is also really nice. The terrain is definitely my favorite part about it though. I think the terrain is just really interesting here, and it makes for a lot of fun fights. Lots more hills, lots more jagged cliffs and stuff like that. So I really enjoy this area. Alright, so my number 2 spot is probably gonna surprise a lot of people, but at number 2 we have Mega City. Yes, this is not my favorite new POI like it is for most people, but trust me, I still really like it a lot. Now, the big thing about this POI that a lot of people are talking about is how you can't really go in all the floors of the buildings, but honestly, I don't mind that one bit. I think in terms of gameplay, it wouldn't really make sense to be able to go in every single floor, as it would only make it harder to find people, and the place would simply just have way too much loot. So it makes sense that you can't go everywhere. Plus, the places that you can go are absolutely stunning. Like, this is the most beautiful Fortnite POI ever created, that is for sure. A giant Tokyo themed city with neon lights and giant signs. It just looks fantastic. Not to mention you got these bridges that kind of connect it with a river going through the entire thing. The buildings themselves just look amazing. You've got a really good amount of variety. You've kind of got restaurants, shops, parking garages, apartment buildings, and I think as I land here more, I'm kind of going to figure out which one of these buildings is my favorite, because I think one of the best parts of a city POI in Fortnite, especially with Tilted, is that it's so fun to pick your favorite building and have that be like your drop spot when you land that POI. And I really hope Mega City has the same effect, where I'm able to pick what my favorite building is and just know how to loot it in and out and have a really fun time every single time I drop here, because right now I feel very lost when I go here. I've started to figure out the layout, but it is very complicated. I think the more I play, I'll kind of get a bit more used to it. You also can't talk about this POI without talking about the grind rails. They're so much fun, some of the best mobility in the game right now, at least in terms of how fun it is to use. It's just so awesome to just grind around this giant city on these rails, and it really adds to the incentive of wanting to land here, because not only do you get amazing loot, but you also get to have a lot of fun just exploring the city. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, the buildings are wonderful, the grind rails are super fun. But my one main issue with this POI, however, is that it is kind of too big. I know, like, that's the whole point of the POI, is to be huge and everything, but I feel like, well, there is a lot of action here. It's not as well paced as a POI like, say, Tilted Towers, because when you went Tilted, it was action pretty much non-stop the second you dropped to the minute that you left the POI. You were getting into fight after fight after fight. Here, you drop in, you may get into a fight. It'll probably take you a while to find someone to fight, or if you find someone right off the bat, you'll get that elimination, move on, and then it'll take another while to find a fight. And also, if you're fighting someone, it's very easy for them to slip away on the grind rails. It's easy for them to hide. It's easy for you to get kind of lost trying to find them. And overall, I think the action is just not as consistent with the pacing of this POI, which I think is fine, but when I go to a POI like this, I feel like I expect high action non-stop, and it just sometimes feels a little boring trying to find someone to fight. in the POI because it is so big. You can have so many people landing here, but there is so much space that everyone's so spaced out, it's kind of hard to find fights as often. Like, I had games where we would drop in here and we would be like, did nobody land here? And then a few minutes later, you just see everyone come out of nowhere. But I will say, once you do get in a fight here, it is really, really fun. But finally, we move on to number 1, my favorite brand new POI in the new biome, and that is going to be Steamy Springs. Yes, this POI delivers all the action that I wanted from Mega City, while also being extremely beautiful, and also just has a nice layout. It's small, it's simpler, but I just enjoy it a lot more. I absolutely adore the cherry blossom trees that are planted everywhere. The buildings are great. They're a really good mix of the Kenjutsu buildings and the naughty Nets buildings, but I feel like they're the perfect size. I can already see myself kind of planning a looting route for this one, as it is much easier to navigate, it's much simpler, but it also benefits the POI because it's smaller and you get into a lot more fights at a much more consistent pacing, which I really enjoy. And I kind of relate it to Salty Springs in a way, not just because it has springs in the name, but because it is kind of that smaller POI where, yes, it does not have as much loot as the giant city, but it's really easy to figure out your looting path, and once you do, it is so satisfying to take over this POI and come out on top. So for that reason, it is my favorite POI on the brand new map, which may be an unpopular opinion that I like it over Mega City, but that's just how I personally view it. But now this is where you guys come in. Let me know in the comments below how you would rank these brand new POIs, which one's your favorite and why. If you guys like this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, because I make videos like this all the time, and you can also use my supporter creator code Bendominator in the Fortnite item shop #ad. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.